My latest dream started off so normal. There was this large cave, and as I entered, I was greeted by serpents and ghosts. So I tried to escape by jumping down a hole. But then there were only holes, and I continued to fall, hole after hole, deep into the darkness. No treasure, no loot, only the fall. I woke up on Boycott Farm, still hoping to reach my 3 main goals of completing the community center, rooming with Krobus, and earning 1 million gold by the end of the year, all while boycotting the services of both Pierre and Joja Mart. Fall started off with great news as it would be raining tomorrow. But for today, I need to clear my farm of the crops that didn't survive the change of seasons. Bye bye coffee plants. The final gold corn was ready, so I have all the crops needed for the quality bundle. I also have all the gold needed for my latest farm upgrade. Hello, deluxe barn. Here's hoping I can scrounge up the money for a pig soon. I stopped to chat with Demetrius, hinting that I could really use a certain winter shell if he had a spare. I planted 1 pumpkin with deluxe speed grow so that it would be ready for the community center around the same time as the yam. Then got to work sowing the stock of mixed seeds I've saved up for fall. Late that night, I remembered my rare seeds and plopped them into the ground with the others, and found my first hazelnut of the season on a last-minute bus stop inspection. After some quick farm chores, I headed to the community center with my fall forageables in tow, only to find Robin wielding her hammer in the middle of a rainstorm. Here's hoping there's no lightning today. That distraction aside, I made my donation to the community center and picked up my 30 fall seeds. Then picked up a request from Sandy for a purple mushroom. I actually need to visit the desert for beet seeds, so this quest was kismet. Next, I checked the special orders board and picked up the fishing request left by Demetrius to catch 10 albacore, since I wanted to fish today for profits anyhow. And there was no way I could ship 100 cranberries this season without breaking my Pierre boycott. As it was Penny's birthday, I grabbed an emerald to gift her, then thought I might gift her a tomka soup instead. Soup seems like a great meal choice on this rainy fall day, but before I brought it to her, I wanted to do a little river fishing for the 2 remaining fish for the community center, the tiger trout and walleye. A shad I caught insisted that Penny would prefer an emerald or 4 for her birthday, so I obliged and gifted her the gem in place of a yummy meal. I spent the rest of the evening fishing up the tiger trout and walleye for the final fish tank bundles, then turned them all in for full fish tank completion. And also completed the quality crops bundle for an additional preserve jar. Ignore that summer crops bundle still open. Say goodbye to Linus's boulder buddy as he rolls his way on to new waters and streams. Demetrius must have been paying attention to our chats as he sent me the Nautilus shell on day 59. Heck yeah. Now if only Linus would send me a Maki roll. You see, back when I upgraded my house, I realized I made a grave error by not planting rice in spring, since that meant I have no way of making maki rolls myself without buying rice from Pierre. Because of this, I have been checking in with Gus daily and Krobus on dish days to see if they have them in stock for the chef bundle. Fingers crossed that either of them or Linus pulls through for us. With the shell now in my possession, I completed the field research bundle for a bonus recycling machine, before hopping on over to the desert to give Sandy her mushroom, and purchase a decent quantity of beet seeds to plant back on the farm later that afternoon. I spent the rest of the day fishing at the ocean and managed to catch 5 of the 10 albacore requested by Demetrius before calling it for the night, scoring some pretty decent fish profits for the day. My barn upgrade was finished and I was a sneeze away from the money needed for my first pig. Based on my profits from yesterday, I figured I would have time to fish up enough to sell to Willie in time to reach Marnie before she closed to purchase Soy's barn companion. And it was so close by also using the forage from my dock chest. Thankfully, a tilapia put us over the edge before 2, and I picked up our new piggy pumpkin with time to spare. This meant I only had the funds to buy 4 of Krobus's mixed seeds, but some is better than none at this point. I still had a fishing buff, so I tried catching mutant carp, but after only managing seaweed and a regular carp, I lost interest, and headed back to the dock to try for the remaining albacore while Willie rooted me on. Day 61, my dino egg finally hatched, so I named our new friend Green, and set a void egg to incubate in its place. Then it was time to see if the traveling cart was feeling helpful this season. She had a duck feather that I needed, and even though I knew my duck would drop one as soon as I bought it, I got it anyways, just in case. Today's Elliot's birthday, and I was planning to give him the tomka soup I didn't end up gifting Penny the other day when he visits the saloon later that evening. And wouldn't you know, Gus has me covered if I end up forgetting the soup tonight. What a pal. Leave a like if you agree that Gus is the unsung hero of Pelican Town. With my purchased duck feather and lucky lettuce, I completed the dye bundle for an all-important seed maker. Then checked in with Willie about gold in them there hills. While carting Mine Chest Overflow back to the farm, I noticed my salmonberry wine finished brewing, and that meant another trip to the community center to finish up the Enchanter's bundle. Only the fodder and chef's bundle to go for the bulletin board. That night I did remember the soup for Elliot, so I brought it to him on my way to the mines as I was in serious need of fiber. As I drifted off to sleep that evening, I reached level 9 foraging from some tree chopping efforts that day. As anticipated, there was a feather waiting for me on the morning of day 62, but you might say he was a day late and a duck short. I was still missing an item for the animal bundle, so I decided to pick up a goat named Juniper for milk and goat cheese. I would eventually get a rabbit or two, but funds were not yet available for the coop upgrade needed. Krobus' dish of the week was hash browns when I visited him today, and Gus was stocked with red plates. I should really purchase a phone to check in with Gus daily, but for now he's on my Krobus and trash can route, so it'd be nice but not necessary. That night it was back to the mines for more fiber and hoeing in the frozen floors, hoping that it might drop snow yams, a possibility I'd heard but don't recall ever seeing in my playthroughs. I'd picked up a quest from Clint to examine copper ore, so I intercepted him on his way home for my finder's fee. Day 63, I found Soy caring for her new little friends in their enormous barn. Then headed for my customary Sunday check of the traveling cart, but she had nothing for me today. Later that day, Willie requested I catch more albacore, and Gus was selling leftover red plates. Come on Gus, at least discount them or something. I wasn't sure when I might need them, so I ran over to the desert to trade in jade for staircases, then chopped down and replanted a good quantity of trees I'd left growing in the desert. I did so much chopping that I had over a stack of wood when I got back home. Here's hoping I don't get Robin's resource rush when the special orders reset tomorrow. Whoops. I had one more task left that night, and that was fishing off the bridge in hopes of catching either the midnight carp or the angler. Shortly before 1 AM, I had the angler in my pack and was heading back home, managing to reach level 7 farming overnight. It's the 8th of fall. That means the start of blackberry season. And Linus requested I find his berry basket. Will do, Linus, for the low cost of a maki roll. The bats brought me more fruit today, but I still need 2 apples for the fodder bundle. That morning, I remembered to pick up my trash can from Clint and had him work on more geodes to help with museum donations. Bag space meant I had to run back and forth between buildings a few times, but I ended the trip with 68 total items donated. Next, I grabbed Linus's basket from by the tunnel and brought it to him so he could join me in collecting berries over the next few days. While in the area, I picked up the telephone from Robin along with a few other crafting recipes, before heading to the ocean to catch the 3 albacore for Willie's quest. I caught the last one right before Willie headed in and was able to turn in the quest just in time. The saloon was serving stuffing, but I was full up on blackberries, so I decided to pass on supper, and instead brought Krobus a diamond, as I needed to get to work on our heart situation, and it would be a while still before we had a steady supply of void eggs for gifting. The next morning, I plopped down the phone and made a quick call to Gus at 6:10 in the morning. This is actually the first time I've used the phone in-game, but it's really neat that you can see the dish for the day without waiting until the saloon is open. Linus sent me the recipe for sashimi, and Lewis let me know that the fair was coming to town next week. I'll need to remember to save up items for display. Rain was on the horizon, so I grabbed a few gold bars and brought Clint my watering can to upgrade before stuffing the beets into Lewis's fridge and receiving the final task needed before the casino would be available. Pam was making sardine calzones, and I think I have one in a chest somewhere, so I picked up that quest, then got to work on another quest hunting for the prismatic slime while in the mines doing more fiber farming for the rest of the night. I made another early morning call to Gus on day 66, and while I won't be mentioning the call moving forward unless he's serving maki rolls, rest assured I will be checking in with the saloon daily. My Speed Grow pumpkin was ready, but it'd be another day for the yam, so I placed the pumpkin in the chest with the other fall crops. Yeah, don't get me started on those summer crops. I brought Krobus his second diamond of the week, then headed to the mines to seek out the jelly for Mr. Wizard. I wasn't having much luck in the lower levels, so I popped back up to the frozen floors, and there he was, the lovely glowy slime in all his prismatic goodness. He dropped his jelly, and I was ecstatic that the quest hadn't taken me the entire 7 days like I thought it might. I headed to the saloon to bring Pam the sardine she requested and was interrupted by Elliot. With that fishy situation out of the way, I made my way over to the wizard's tower with a jelly in tow, but got so distracted by picking blackberries that I just barely missed him locking up for the night. I'm annoyed, but mostly with myself. At least my slime hunting allowed me to reach level 9 combat. On day 67, my yam was ready, and we had a new ebony chick named Ginger join the flock. I headed over to give Razzle Dazzle his jelly for a lovely 5,000 gold reward, picked up my watering can from Clint, then used my newly expanded wallet to give the coop its final upgrade. I had a quest to slay 5 red slimes and made sure to take care of that and reach Lewis for the turn-in before it got too late. Krobus had a new batch of mixed seeds, so I grabbed them during our daily chat, then headed back to the mines for the night to farm the one resource I never seem to have enough of. Fiber. It's fiber. Rasmodius sent us the monster musk recipe the next morning, and I had plans to put it in use as soon as possible. Also, look at the cutie Junimo on his stationery. I got a random call from Lewis. Guess it was nice he was checking in on me? And there were still no apples in the Batcave. Maybe the traveling merchant has better news for me on this lovely Friday. Nope, she has nothing I need to finish up the community center. But I decided to snag a spangle seed. Honestly, it was probably a waste of money, but I can pretty up the house if I manage to unlock the garden pot in time. While checking in with Krobus, I debated selling some gems to Clint to afford the iridium sprinkler, but decided just to have some geodes opened, and made my donations to the ever-growing museum collection. Then went to the mines to see about farming enough bat wings for my first batch of monster musk. I made a quick check of the eradication goals and saw I had almost half the dust sprites needed, so I continued on, lucking into a bat swarm late in the evening. Back home that night, I made my first monster musk that would be useful in quickly upping my dust sprite kills in the coming days. On day 69, my starfruit wine was ready, so I set it aside with a few other items I'd be using in the Grange display. Then did my daily farm chores before stopping to see what Krobus had in stock today. He had candy at a steal, so I picked up a few and munched on one before dousing myself in the pungent perfume for a full day of monster slaying. I was debating heading home around midnight, but ended up on an infested floor 58 where I stayed far too late, causing me to pass out while desperately trying to reach my farm before 2. I know I said I wouldn't mention my morning call, but I just found it fishy that both the Queen of Sauce and Gus were pushing trout soup today. Is that typical? Pumpkin was happy and fully grown this morning, so I went to clear out a little space for her truffle-seeking endeavors and discovered she didn't need my help after all. The luck continued as Ginger laid her first void egg today as well. On my way to bring the void egg to Krobus, I stopped by the traveling cart for my bi-weekly betrayal. Honestly, a radish but no tomato? Why do you do this to me? Anyhow, Krobus loved the fresh egg, and we were now officially at 2 hearts. I decided to turn my fall crops in for the bundle, really wishing I'd get the final 2 items needed for the pantry before winter. Then it was back to the mines to work more on sprite eradication. In the sleepy hours of night, I again chanced upon an infested floor, but tonight I made it home with plenty of time to reach my bed. Oh, and I can finally make kegs as I am now a level 8 farmer. Day 71, I changed up my preserve jar layout to clear up some space in the kitchen, picked up Clint's Cave Patrol quest on the special orders board, and headed over to gift Krobus another void egg before heading to the mines to start patrolling the cave. This quest will put me over the eradication goal for bats, and since I need 70 more dust sprites, I decided the frozen floors would be best for my bat hunting endeavors, and while there, got a lucky prismatic shard drop. This will be a perfect addition for my Grange display tomorrow. Around 1 AM, I slayed the final dust sprite needed for the eradication goal, but it was too late in the evening to stop by the Adventurers Guild, so my reward would have to wait for another day. I added the shard to my goodies chest when I got back home that night. 6 items so far, but I should be able to add another 3 relatively easy in the morning. The day of the fair has arrived, and although Gus has closed down the saloon, I am able to grab one of his amazing survival burgers while catching up with some of my neighbors at the fairgrounds. Then, while waiting for Lewis to judge the Grange displays, I tested my strength and managed to earn a bonus token. Alright, Lewis, let's get a move on. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Thank goodness, I won first place and am halfway to the tokens needed for that magical star drop. I played the fishing minigame to build up the rest of the tokens needed to reach 2,000, then headed to the vendor for my star drop prize. There were a few other items I kind of wanted, so I hopped on the wheel until I had enough tokens for the rare crow, fedora, and dried sunflowers. No more bag space even if I wanted to buy any of the other prizes. Before heading to bed, I finished up the watering I'd neglected and collected a bit of hardwood I might need later in the run. That night, Pumpkin gave birth, saving me so much money on a second piggy, and I named her baby Spice. Look at this mommy teaching her baby about truffles. It was afternoon before I finished up on the farm and headed to the desert to work on the scavenger quest. Then I set to work harvesting the trees I'd planted there, replanting as many spots as possible with pine trees late into the evening. I returned to the valley early enough that night to pick up my burglar's ring from Gil. This may be the earliest I've ever completed that goal. The rest of the night was spent fiber and monster farming in the lower levels of the mine. Day 74, I found Soy playing hide and seek with me behind the barn, and I decided to craft a glowstone ring to accompany my burglar's ring in my loadout so that I wouldn't have to choose between illumination and magnetism. I was reminded to check the lumber pile beside my house, and yet I had foolishly blocked it with a particularly full chest. So I set to work moving everything out, taking the opportunity to redo my chest organization a touch. The path was finally clear a few hours later, and I was able to snag the club card that would allow access to the back room casino at the desert. It was Marnie's birthday, so I figured I'd buy a rabbit while gifting her, but she was not there. Apparently Marnie heads for a checkup every year on her birthday, which is inconvenient for me, but I suppose is a great way to make sure you never forget your appointment. Next, I made my way to Clint's for geode assistance and a quick trash can upgrade. My Grange-winning prismatic shard was placed in a spot of honor at the museum. Then it was back to the mines the rest of the day to finish up my cave patrolling. Marnie dropped by for a friendly visit the next morning, and Caroline requested a pumpkin for Abigail. I think I have a few of those lying around still. I got my first star quality void egg and was pretty happy as higher quality would allow for quicker friendship gains with Krobus in the coming weeks. And the animal icing on the cake? Juniper gave me the large goat milk I needed to finish the animal bundle. With a nearly full pack for today's errands, I took a quick stop by the traveling cart, but it was the same old disappointing song.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
After literally dropping the cave carrot off with Marnie, I picked up a rabbit named Barry. I've been trying to name animals based on teas I've been drinking, and the tea of the day is elderberry. Next, I went hunting for Caroline and stumbled into a cutscene I had somehow not seen until the middle of fall. I quickly skipped the cutscene and Caroline met me at the door for the pumpkin, and then on to the pantry for my cheese press reward. I'm a bit sad that I could be unlocking the greenhouse if I'd only abandoned my principles and just bought one seed. But no, I must not think like that. The merchant will come through for me. I just have to stay strong. With the tasks I set out to do now completed, I headed back to the mines for tea sapling materials, as I have a lot of projects needing funding over the coming weeks. Before it got too late, I remembered to check in with Krobus, but decided against forking over 10k for a sprinkler today, and spending most of the day in the mines allowed us to reach level 10 mining. I chose Prospector as I don't tend to sell bars too often, and coal is an extremely useful resource. My trash can was ready on the morning of day 76, and I had plenty of iridium bars, so after picking up my can from Clint, I placed my request for a shiny new iridium axe. Later, I stopped by to chat with Krobus and see his Saturday meal deal, and meal deal it was. $180 for a spicy eel is a bit over half the cost from the saloon. I'll take all 5, thank you. I didn't have much more I wanted to do today, so I did my usual fiber farming in the mines until the sleepy hours were upon me. The next morning, there was a gold quality void egg waiting for me in the coop. Perfect timing as the gifting week had reset today. But before I visited Krobus, I checked in with everyone's favorite vixen who tempts you in with her waves and wares. But in the end, there's nothing. Krobus got his golden void egg, and I found out George's eyesight is better than mine because I did not even see him there. I promised Demetrius an eggplant that I may or may not bring to him, and later headed to the desert to unlock the casino for the first time. I considered gambling a bit, but felt particularly hapless, so decided to punish myself with a trip to the cavern. I was a little beat up and only made it to floor 12 before heading home, feeling that my time would be better spent fiber farming in the regular mines due to my limited inventory space. This morning, I decided to check on profession progress and was rather pleased with my levels so far, though I don't think I'll be reaching level 10 farming in time for winter. Speaking of winter, I want to have a fish pond ready once sturgeon are available next season, so I commissioned one built, then picked up the Rock Rejuvenation special order for an easy breezy beautiful quest. Krobus got another void egg in exchange for an adorable smile, and Clint had finished my final axe upgrade, Trees Beware. He also opened a few geodes for me, so now we are up to 76 items in the museum. That afternoon, I caught Emily on her way to work and had to practically jog to keep up while I handed the gems over. The rest of the night I spent hanging out in the mines for that all-important fiber. My octopus were in the mood for a nice cup of tea, so I tossed one in before getting started on my daily farm chores. I was just finishing up watering when a train passed through, so I thought I'd run up and take a look. And wouldn't you know, this Joja train dropped absolutely nothing. It's fine. I don't want anything from Joja anyhow. After a lovely dip in the spa, I took a tour through the secret woods for some extra hardwood, followed by a lap around Cindersnap for regular wood for the rest of the night. My final forage crops of fall were ready on this last Wednesday, so after plucking them in the gently falling rain, I brought George a piece of spring forage I'd saved for his birthday, then grabbed a snail and periwinkle from my river crab pots. Those were the final fish I need to catch for this area, so the pots will find a new home in the ocean while I keep trying for the lobster and crab. But first, to the blacksmith for my golden hoe, and then onto the ocean to drop my pots before parking myself in town for some lucrative rainy day river fish by day and feisty rainy day ocean fish by night. All the fishing paid off today, as this was now my first level 10 profession. The awkwardly tall gemberry plants were ready the next morning, and I knew a secret woods dweller who would love to trade a taste. I caught a lobster, so only the crab from the crab pots to go. Oh, the irony. Then it was back to the fishing grind. Just before bed, I tossed a midnight carp into the empty fish pond, then dreamed sweet profits of shipment dreams. With it being the final fall Friday, I took my traditional trip to the traveling cart. No tomato yet again, but I did pick up the winter rare crow for a slight bargain price. The star drop from yesterday was so delicious that I thought I'd purchase one from Krobus today, before bringing a refined quartz to the wizard. That night, I spent time hunting bugs in the mines, as I had yet to find an ancient seed. My dive last night was fruitless, so I upped the ante on day 83 with the use of monster musk in the mines. I killed many a bug that day, but still no seed. That night, I joined in on the festivities in town, being sure to traverse the maze to reach the golden pumpkin prize at the end. After the festival, I headed to see my pal Krobus, but he already had company of the Anki dwarfish kind. My last-minute pumpkin harvest that morning allowed me to reach level 9 farming overnight. Iridium sprinklers, just in time for winter. I also hit level 10 combat, becoming a brute. On the last day of the season, I harvested corn and tea for the final time this year and discovered a new friend named Elder in the coop. Then it was time to see what disappointment the traveling cart had in store for me. I did pick up a red cabbage seed to grow for shipments, bought a few heaters for my animal friends, and gave Krobus a void egg for the reset of the gifting week. Later that afternoon, I had Clint open a few geodes and donated new gems to the museum, but you know the drill. I had picked up a quest from Willie to catch a few sardines, so I spent the evening fishing in the ocean until that quest was complete, and spent the rest of the night doing more fishing with the hopes of catching any fish that would become unavailable in the coming winter. We finished out fall as a level 10 forager, selecting the botanist profession to aid in bag space containment. Well, that's another season behind us, with only one more to go for the year, and I have to admit I'm a little worried we won't be reaching any of our goals at this rate, as we still need a snow yam, tomato, 2 apples, and a maki roll for the community center. Have only 4 hearts with Krobus, and have earned less than half what we need to reach 1 million gold. But on the plus side, all our skills, except farming, are at level 10. Thank you so much for falling into this challenge with me, and I'm looking forward to what winter has in store. Until then, bye-bye.